All right, so another good one, the Encyclopedia, try to frame this right, Encyclopedia of the Middle Ages. So you'll see me with a lot of medieval books, medieval miscellany, collection of various stories and images about and from the Middle Ages. See that I have a lot of those, close to about, well, before we moved here, I mean, it was a few years ago, I had 55 or 60 books on the Middle Ages, history books on the Middle Ages. I think it's probably closer to 75 or 80 because I found some more, got some more like dirt cheap, and that's one of my favorite subjects throughout history. So, as far as my own personal collection, most of my books are having to do with Bible or theology. Several hundred, if not probably close to 1,500 books total, I think, on that. But I've got close to like 40 Bibles too, maybe a few more. So different versions of the Bible. And then extra biblical sources and things like that. I mean, there's just a lot. And a lot of these also were more like inspirational books, but number one would be like books about the Bible or reference books regarding theology. Next would be history. And in history, probably the Middle Ages. And the Grail ties into that. Arthur ties into that. It kind of all goes in. A lot of church history in there. One thing I really like about medieval history, about the Middle Ages in particular, is even though it was a dark time for a lot of people for a long time, one of the great things about the Middle Ages is these people, that culture didn't really have kind of the hang up that we do now where we try to pretend that there's a separation of church and state. I mean, we theorize it. It's not officially in the Constitution. It's in the, from what I can recall, it's in the Communist Manifesto. It talks about separation of church and state, ultimately leading to the elimination of the church and complete totalitarian and dictatorial rule by the state. Or, and don't get me started on that. Sorry, communism, socialism. What we talk about here in America isn't the same, but when we actually talk about the brutality of socialist and communist regimes, fascist regimes, I have a family history of it, of suffering under that. In fact, I've got a book on that. I didn't mean to do this, but Joseph S. Haidt, Paradise on the Steppe, about my ancestors, my grandmother's great-great-grandparents that immigrated from Germany during the Napoleonic Wars over to Russia. This is when Catherine the Great's grandson was the emperor over there, the Tsar. And so they immigrated over there under the promise that basically Catherine, when she did it, she wanted to kind of create this buffer, kind of like Stalin and his buffer states. She wanted to create a buffer between Russia and potential invaders. And there was a lot of land that was just unused. Russia still is so massive at the time. But where my ancestors settled would be near the Black Sea. So they were called the Black Sea Germans. And there were like the Volga Germans also, the Bessarabians, that settled up near where like Belarus is now, Moldavia. Sorry if I totally gutted that, but I believe it's Moldavia. And so, but my ancestors settled in what is now like Odessa, in that region, in the Ukraine. And so, oops, I got to end it.